Sports. We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
It's a big Saturday night in downtown Phoenix, and the D-backs are in town. Chase Field, the place to be tonight. Big crowd with us. The Cubs are in here. Game 2 of a 3-game set. It's Patrick Corbin versus John Lester, a matchup of left-handers for you here as we settle in for D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. Diamondbacks trying to get the bats going here. Usually as Goldie goes, so does the Diamondbacks offense, and Bobby had a home run here last night.
Well, Goldie has been doing what Goldie does. The rest of the team has scuffled from time to time. The guys in front of him and behind him. But since the All-Star break, Goldie's hit .333 with 7 homers. He's driven in 24. Has an OPS over 1,000, and he has 4 homers in his last 8 at-bats against the Cubs. So Paul Goldschmidt doing everything in his power to carry this team.
Yeah, and very good career numbers against John Lester, the Chicago starter. Now the Diamondbacks just faced Lester a couple of weeks ago at Wrigley Field, and he lasted only 4 innings.
Threw 104 pitches in those 4 innings of work. He gave up 5 hits and 3 walks, 3 runs. He did strike out 9 batters, and it could have been a lot worse for Lester. He left the bases loaded in the 2nd inning.
It's Corbin and Lester, the D-backs, and the Cubs. And the first pitch is coming up shortly on Fox Sports Arizona. Diamondbacks baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Gila River Casinos. Earn rewards 10 times faster than ever before with the card by Gila River Casinos. Sign up for the card today. By Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. By Santan Ford. We are Santan Ford. By the Donor Network of Arizona. Sign up, save lives. Visit donornetworkaz.org. And by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by your Valley Honda dealer, where you get more standard features for less money. By Tire Pros, everything rotates around you. By Gigablast, internet from Cox. Get ready for the gig life. By Oregano, step up to the plate for a guaranteed home run at Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint, location statewide. And by State Farm. State Farm is here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today or call 1-800-STATE-FARM.
Well, we get close to a full house in here tonight. Patrick Corbin set to take them out against John Lester and the Chicago Cubs. And the first pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. And Jeff Mathis, your battery tonight. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly with you. Oscar Soria and the great Rodrigo Lopez on the Spanish side. It's game 2 of this 3-game set. The Diamondbacks and the Chicago Cubs, who come into today 6 over 500 and holding only a 1-game lead atop the Central Division. And here's the Cubby lineup tonight. It's presented by your Valley Chevy dealers.
A little different look for Joe Madden tonight in game 2 of this series. Albert Almora Jr. will start out in center field. Chris Bryant once again at third base. Anthony Rizzo across the diamond at first. Ben Zobrist moves out to right field. Ian Happ will play second base tonight with Kyle Schwarber in left. Javier Baez at short. Alex Avila at catcher. And John Lester, the left-hander, on the mound.
It's lefty Patrick Corbin for the Diamondbacks, your Ram Truck starting pitcher. Patrick has lost his last 2 starts, including a rough outing against these Cubs at Wrigley Field August 1st when he gave up 8 runs and lasted only 3 innings.
Yeah, the first inning is always a key for Patrick Corbin, settling in, throwing good quality strikes right away in the ball game. We saw him during his warm-up procedure before the game have a seat down there. He's trying to find a warm-up procedure that allows him to go out there and start the game at his best.
Nationwide Vision Centers gives us the Diamondbacks defense tonight.
A.J. Pollock out in center field, flanked by David Peralta and J.D. Martinez left and right. Adam Rosales gets the start at third base tonight with Ketel Marte at short. Brandon Drury back in the lineup at second base tonight. He'll be playing next to Paul Goldschmidt on the right side with Jeff Mathis behind the plate for the lefty Patrick Corbin.
Mark Wegner is our plate umpire tonight. He'll have the ball and strike calls. Mike Winters, the crew chief, is at first base. Marty Foster at second. And Mike McClinsky is the third base umpire tonight. And as Albert Almora Jr. steps in to lead it off, Bobby Turn to you for your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Just cut to the chase. Nothing cute, nothing humorous. We need a win. We don't care if it's a walk-off walk, a walk-off hit by pitch, whether the Cubs make 10 errors or the Diamondbacks get 10 home runs. We need a win.
D-backs 13 over 500 and only one game behind the Rockies for that first National League wild card. Colorado is playing right now at Miami, and they're tied with the Marlins 1-1 at Marlins Park. Almora Jr. lifts the first pitch of the ball game into right center field for A.J. Pollock.
Third baseman, number 17.
Here's Chris Bryant. He was on base 5 times last night, the Cub third baseman. Hitting .284 with 20 home runs. Bryant last night 3 singles, a base on balls. He was hit by a pitch. There's a look at the Diamondbacks defense. Well, Bob, as you mentioned, we've talked about this issue all season long with Patrick Corbin. Sometimes it's a bumpy first inning. Patrick has given up 23 first inning runs this year and has had to work uphill sometimes. He's down 1-0, 2-0 right from the get-go, but that has been improving. He's given up first inning runs only twice in his last 6 starts.
That's an improvement that was needed for Patrick Corbin. Not only the runs in the first inning, but the elevated pitch count, which really shortens up his outing when he has to throw 25 or 30 pitches to get 3 outs in the first.
And as you saw right there, the same problem has plagued John Lester, the Cubs starter, tonight. And that's a theme that we've seen a little too often lately. In fact, for all the Diamondback starters, it was true of Taijuan Walker last night as Chicago got 2 in the first inning. Anthony Bonda gave up 3 in the first to the Dodgers the other day. Torey Lovullo, his team has to keep working uphill. That's how he puts it.
It's a tough way to win ball games when you're steadily behind in the first inning and already trying to figure out where you're going to get the innings out of the bullpen because your starter's throwing so many pitches in the first. He's not going to get deep in the game.
Base hit for Bryant, a 1-out single. His 4th hit in the series.
First baseman, number 44, Anthony Rizzo.
Anthony Rizzo 0 for 4 with a walk last night. 261 and 26 homers. Rizzo homered twice against the Diamondbacks August 1st at Wrigley Field, the first of which came against Patrick Corbin. Rizzo has 10 home runs against left-hand pitchers this year. That's the most homers in the majors for a left-hand hitter against lefty pitchers.
Yeah, for me, he really handles breaking balls well. If they're around the strike zone, you can lead him out of the zone with bad breaking balls.
Chance to get 2 here. Drury, Ketel Marte, and everybody's safe.
Good up to that point, but the flip to Ketel Marte leads him way to the infield side of the bag there. Looked like he got leather on it, but at the same time was trying to avoid Chris Bryant sliding into second base. Just didn't come up with the play.
Well, so Patrick should be out of the inning here. Instead, it's 2 on, only 1 out. And Ben Zobrist is the hitter. That's a fielder's choice E4. The error charged to Brandon Drury. And Zobrist singled, scored a run last night. He was 1 for 4 in the ball game. Switch hitter. He's a much better hitter from the left-hand side than from the right. Shows bunt, pulls back and takes ball 1. That's a Corbin slider there. That hamstring injury to Wilson Contreras presents more than one issue for the Cubs. Not only did Joe Madden lose his catcher, but he lost his cleanup hitter, and so they're hoping that Zobrist can take over in the cleanup spot like he did last year at times.
And Contreras had played a little first base to give Anthony Rizzo a day off from time to time. He's played a little outfield. I mean, he's a primary catcher when healthy, but a very valuable guy to move around the field, especially late in close ball games.
Zobrist has shown bunt twice. He's ahead 2 balls and no strikes. Patrick's got to pick up his defenders behind him here. Goldie, they get 1. There's nobody over there. Too far for Corbin to go. Bryan is at third, and there are 2 outs.
We've had one physical error in the game. That's a mental error on the part of Patrick Corbin that time. Hard hit ball to the right side of the field. Your job is to get over and cover the bag. Patrick caught spectating. By the time he realizes there's a potential for a double play, it's too late.
So now they're on the corners with 2 down. And here's the rookie second baseman, the switch hitter Ian Happ, who is celebrating his 23rd birthday today. 248 and 14 home runs. He homered off Patrick Corbin at Wrigley Field on the last road trip. First pitch slider, and it's 1-0. Happ had an RBI single in last night's ball game. He's a better hitter average wise from the right side, but all his power comes from the left. Swing and a miss. There's the Corbin slider, and it's 1-1.
I found out something interesting about Ian Happ today talking to some of the Cubs people. He's very similar to Brandon Drury in his intensity and the way he approaches his workouts and the way he approaches his at-bats in the ball game. Real grinder.
That certainly describes Brandon Drury. They think baseball 24/7, 365. Drury's there, and Corbin wiggles off the hook. Diamondbacks coming up against John Lester. Corbin put a 0 up there. Now the Diamondbacks get their first crack at your Ram truck starter for the Cubs. It's John Lester, the 33-year-old lefty. Diamondbacks saw him 2 starts ago at Wrigley Field, and he lasted only 4 innings.
He'll throw 3 different fastballs, a cutter, a sinker, a 4-seamer up in the zone, a curveball, a straight changeup. The Cubs are 11-5 in games started by John Lester in his last 16 starts.
Diamondbacks lineup is brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
David Peralta will lead it off out in left field. Adam Rosales down at third base tonight with A.J. Pollock in center. Paul Goldschmidt at first. J.D. Martinez out in right field. Ketel Marte will be at shortstop. A bottom third of Brandon Drury at second base. Jeff Mathis doing the catching for lefty Patrick Corbin.
David Peralta. Torey Lovullo likes to refer to him as an energized player, and the move to the leadoff spot has been a good one. 301 and 11 homers. David walked and had a 2-run home run last night. Here's David Peralta with 2 outs in the 5th inning last night.
One of the hardest hit homers we've had here at Chase Field this year. That ball was 113 miles per hour off the bat, went 443 to deep right center.
Blowing that train whistle here at Chase Field. He's ahead 2-0. John Lester usually as soon as the game begins looks to establish his fastball arm side that would be into the left-handers or away from the right-hand hitters. And from that point he feels if he can get there then he'll start working the other way toward his glove side of the plate. So Torey Lovullo hoping a left-hand batter here can help make that a little more difficult for Lester to start the ball game. Take him a bit out of his comfort zone. That's strike 2, says Mark Wegner. Cutter there from Lester.
We talked about it at Wrigley Field when John Lester and Patrick Corbin hooked up. It's a little bit similar to Tom Glavine in his heyday with the Atlanta Braves. Tommy Glavine, if you loaded up a lineup with right-handed hitters against him, he would lock in on that outside corner at the knees and just live out there all day long. But if you stuck a lefty or two in the lineup and forced him to work the other side of the plate, that's when he had issues.
Base hit for David. A good start for the Diamondbacks. Let's look at the Chicago defense. That's presented by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Left to right across the outfield tonight, Kyle Schwarber, Albert Almora Jr., and Ben Zobrist. Third to first across the infield, it'll be Chris Bryant, Javier Baez, Ian Happ, and Anthony Rizzo. Alex Avila doing the catching for left-hander John Lester.
Well, Peralta will be the only left-hand bat that Lester will see here. It's a right-hand heavy lineup for the Diamondbacks, including the switch hitting Ketel Marte. Here's Adam Rosales, who's at third base tonight. Jake Lamb has the night off. Rosales 0 for 3, a pair of strikeouts when he started at second base on Wednesday against the Dodgers. Doing that thing he usually does where he sort of stands there out of the box and stares the pitcher down. Rosales is a guy who's got a good and well-established track record of having some success against left-hand pitchers. And so he's batting second tonight for Torey Lovullo. Jake Lamb getting the night off. Peralta's getting a big lead over there. He holds it first. Rosales, base hit. First 2 have reached against John Lester.
Slashing line drive through that right side. Ian Happ had cheated a little bit closer to second base in anticipation of a possible double play, and Rosales takes advantage and shoots it through that hole.
Well, we mentioned Patrick Corbin and John Lester's first inning problems this year. Patrick did a nice job in the top of the first. Lester in immediate trouble in the bottom half, and here's A.J. Pollock. 280 and 5 home runs. A.J. 0 for 4 last night, couple of strikeouts.
That right-handed slider low and away. I mean, it affected a lot of the Diamondbacks hitters against John Lackey last night, but A.J. had a special trouble recognizing that rotation, laying off that pitch.
Well, that Lackey slider, just one swing and a miss after another last night. Good numbers career-wise for A.J. against John Lester here. No Jake Lamb tonight, so Pollock batting third ahead of Goldie. Here's a cutter from Lester. As Bob mentioned, he throws a ton of fastballs. Now they're different fastballs. Half of them might be that straight four-seamer, then a lot of cutters like we just saw, and he'll mix in that sinking two-seam fastball. But he's round about 80% fastballs, John Lester, 3 different kinds. Back-to-back cut fastballs, and it's 1-2. Lester also has a curveball and an occasional changeup. D-backs a chance here to strike first. 2-2. Trying another cutter. It's cutter here. Goldie, who homered last night, on deck. J.D. Martinez. Let's get some shock and awe right here. Let's get that going again.
And on that merry-go-round, string together a whole bunch of base hits.
Avila has to slide over there behind AJ to keep that one in front of him, and it's full 3-2. Whole lot of cut fastballs from John Lester here to AJ Pollock. Peralta's at second, and Rosales at first. Runners hold. AJ hits a dribbler to third. Bryan steps on the bag and turns the double play.
Really rooting for that one to go foul down the third baseline. AJ got way out in front of that last cutter, but unfortunately leads Chris Bryant right to the bag. 5-3 double play. Leaving one man in scoring position here for Goldie with 2 outs in the inning.
Goldie homered to right field last night, his second home run in his last 3 games. .317 now with 27 homers. And he's got Rosales at second base and 2 outs. Diamondbacks had a big chance early in last night's game against John Lackey. Lackey walked 2 of the first 3 batters he faced in the ball game. Goldie came up first and second, 1 out, and hit into a 6-4-3 double play that ended the threat.
I'm sure somebody is standing by on the Cubs Twitter account just in case Goldie goes deep again here. They have a base open. They said they weren't going to pitch to him anymore. I think this is the trust that Joe Madden has in his veteran left-hander not to make a mistake that Goldie could hit out of the ballpark.
Here's the skipper, Joe Madden. 1-2. Well, we showed you those numbers for Goldie since the All-Star break at the top of the show. And he's hitting over .330 in the second half of the season. 7 home runs and 24 RBIs in 26 games since the break. J.D. Martinez would be next. Just yank that halfway up the third deck. Wow. Got a cutter from Lester.
Get the biggest kick out of those foul balls that reach the upper reaches of the upper deck like that. You know, those fans had no idea they were going to get remotely close to a baseball tonight, and Somebody's going home with a souvenir.
We couldn't get a T-shirt up there with the world's biggest T-shirt cannon. 1 and 2. Well, Patrick Corbin got out of first inning trouble, and John Lester did too. No score after 1. Show your school pride. D-backs will host ASU night and U of A night during the next Dodgers series here at Chase Field. You can get a custom ASU or U of A soft style t-shirt with a special event ticket pack. ASU night comes up August 29th and U of A night August 30th. Visit dbacks.com/events for your special event ticket pack. Kyle Schwarber leads off the second against Patrick Corbin. Flails at a slider, and it's 0-1. Schwarber homered last night, his second home run in his last 4 games. Already with a career high 19. Bob, how about the job Patrick did there, picking up his defenders behind him? I know he had a bit of a brain cramp there late covering first, but maybe before Patrick were to give it up a run or two there.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it happen. Unfortunately, errors made behind him or plays that should have been made that weren't made, extending an inning, and Patrick just can't seem to stop the ball from rolling down the hill. So huge step in the right direction here tonight.
Yeah, got Ian Happ to hit that ground ball right to Drury at second to end the threat. A guy that had homered off Patrick just a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. Ahead of Schwarber, 1 and 2. Got him. First strikeout for Corbin, 1 down in the second.
The slider looks good early from Patrick Corbin today. Buries this one in the dirt down low and away from Schwarber. He's susceptible to breaking balls from lefties anyway. That was a really good one.
Javier Baez, another free swinger. Singled, scored a run, had an RBI last night. 264 and 16 homers. He's got some real power. Slider right through the back door there, and it's 0-1. Baez has hit safely in 8 of his last 9 games. He's got 3 homers over that span. And an RBI single in the 8th inning last night. 0-2. Fastball there from Corbin.
For the Cubs, this is the 4th left-handed starter they faced in the last 5 games. They've been really good against lefties this year. 19-9 against lefty starters. That's the second best record in the majors. Only the Dodgers have a better record against left-handed pitching this year.
And Baez swings at a slider. Yeah, that's remarkable for LA. They were the worst team in baseball last year against lefties.
Another good slider, very similar to the one he got Schwarber to chase to start the inning. Tight, sharp, late break.
Patrick's stuff looks really crisp tonight. The slider's been effective. We've seen that mid-90s fastball. He'll put the shift on for the catcher, Alex Avila. Avila hit a long home run to dead center here last night. He also walked twice, once with the bases loaded against Taijuan Walker. There's the defense. First pitch fastball, and it's 0-1. Avila has only 2 hits with the Cubs since he was acquired at the trade deadline from the Detroit Tigers, but both of those hits are home runs. They lost their catcher Wilson Contreras, who had been so good for them offensively over the last month or so. Victor Caratini, switch hitting rookie catcher out of Puerto Rico, is the backup catcher right now. 0-2 on Avila.
Patrick jumped ahead 0-2 to all 3 hitters in this half inning.
Hard 96-mile-an-hour fastball that time. Corbin trying to strike out the side in the second. D-backs 1 game behind Colorado for that first wild card. Rockies and Marlins tied 1-1 in Miami. They're in the 4th. Cardinals 4.5 games behind the D-backs for a wild card spot. Right now St. Louis leads Atlanta 5-2 in the 4th. Wagner didn't bite. That looked good from up here. Of course, most of them look good from up here. You can hear Torrey trying to get Mark Wagner's attention. Oh boy, that's another pitch that should have gotten Patrick Corbin out of the inning. That was a miss. And he gets the strikeout. Corbin strikes out the side in the second. They got Kyle Schwarber. Chased a slider. So did Javier Baez. And after he didn't get the fastball call, he went to the slider and punches out Avila. No score. Chase. She's ready to go. All right. Fans, MLB.tv. It's every night, every device. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live. And you'll get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.tv for the details. Those Arizona flag caps are looking good here tonight.
Really looking good.
That was a big giveaway tonight. First 20,000 fans got those Arizona flag caps, courtesy of our friends at Gila River Hotel and Casinos. J.D. Martinez leads off the second against John Lester. J.D. 0 for 3 with a walk last night, 286 on the year. To cut fastballs from Lester to these right-hand Diamondbacks hitters. It's a righty-heavy lineup for the D-backs tonight against the lefty Lester. J.D. hits it way up in the air to right for Zobrist. Ketel Marte among those right-hand bats, the switch hitter. 0 for 3 with a walk last night. That snapped a 10-game hitting streak for Ketel. He's hitting .277. And he's got 4 home runs. He's homered this year twice from each side of the plate. We have seen him hit a ball almost out of Dodger Stadium as a right-hand batter and almost out of Cincinnati batting from the left side this year. Fastball's a strike. That's the 4-seamer there.
Yeah, typical first inning for John Lester. He threw 20 pitches to get 3 outs in the first, 11 4-seam fastball and 9 cutters. So no off-speed pitches yet from John Lester. That might have been one right there. A little change up off the plate, low and away.
Curveball will throw a little more often than that change up just to keep guys honest. Marte hits it hard and by half at second. Ketel Marte, a 1-out single.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
He tried to sneak another changeup by Marte, but he was right on it. That was belted into right center, and here's Brandon Drury. Brandon had a pinch hit single last night, 274 and 9 homers. Getting a start at second base. It's his first start since last Friday at San Francisco. He's been relegated to the bench lately by Torey Lovullo. Wait, Bob, we hear time and time again that John Lester is afraid to throw to first. He doesn't want to do it. He gets uncomfortable, but rarely does anybody, the Diamondbacks included, ever seem to do much about it.
It's kind of puzzling. I mean, I always tended to err on the side of aggression, especially against a guy that's had the history of problems that John Lester has had throwing to first base. Get a big primary lead, maybe a step or 2 more than you normally would, and just take off first movement. He's not going to throw over there to first base. Now, in his defense, he is quick to home plate, and in the past, he had David Ross, who could really throw behind the plate, so they could make up for his inability to pick at first base.
Ketel Marte runs very well. David Peralta, when he had a single to lead off the first, was kind of dancing around out there, but they really haven't tried to put any pressure on Lester as of yet.
And we talked about the Dodgers and their approach to John Lester in the postseason last year, and I thought the Dodgers had it all wrong. They took a huge lead off first base trying to draw a throw, and when he would deliver the ball to home plate, the runner was always going back to first base because he felt like he was too far off the bag, and David Ross would back pick at first base. So it really kind of defeated the purpose by taking those huge leads and always going back to first base as the ball was being delivered. Take a lead that's a step or 2 bigger than your normal lead and just go on first movement.
Called strike 3. Stuck that cutter in the corner down and away. Second strikeout for Lester. Yeah, Lester got the strike call here for Mark Wagner.
Number 2.
Jeff Mathis. Jeff batting .218, 2 homers. Jeff was 0 for 3 in his start behind the plate Wednesday against LA. That snapped his 11-game hitting streak.
All you need to know is watch Anthony Rizzo over there at first base. As Lester comes up to the set position, he's just kind of wandering around. He's not really worried about a pickoff throw to first base. You know, normally he'd have that right foot anchored close to the bag, get ready for a throw in case he's got to slap a tag. He's just kind of wandering around. He's not going to throw it over here.
Torey Lovullo, during part of his time with the Red Sox, worked with John Lester very closely. I mean, Torey and Lester would be together in all those closed-door meetings, and Lester was very honest about what made him comfortable and uncomfortable. So they don't. It's not like they don't know what's going on here. But you're right, Rizzo does not seem fully engaged over there.
He's just wandering off the bag. He knows there's no chance he's going to get a pickoff throw over there at first base.
Dave McKay coaching at first. Look at the look on Rizzo's face. He's not thrown over here. I'll just sort of wander off. I'll try and make it look good anyway. All right. 1-2 on Mathis. And Jeff chased a high cutter. Can check. 3 strikeouts for Lester. No score after 2. Highlights, Bob. That Corbin slider struck out the side in the second.
That's as good as we've seen in a long time from Patrick Corbin. A lot of downward movement. He's throwing it hard. A lot of late break as that ball gets into the hitting zone. And that second inning was as good as we've seen Patrick in a while.
Struck out Schwarber, Baez, and Avila. 1-2-3 to punch out the side in the second. Your State Farm winning combo. Patrick Corbin this season, when he pitches a scoreless first inning like he did tonight, his ERA is just about 2.5. John Lester, the Cub pitcher, leads off the third. Now Lester, you might recall, when we were at Wrigley Field a couple of weeks ago, hit a home run off Patrick Corbin. So be careful here. He's got 6 hits this year. But he's down quickly, 0-2.
He also singled in his first at bat that game before the 2-run homer in the third inning. Wind was blowing straight out at Wrigley.
Boy, Patrick's now struck out 4 in a row. 1 down in the third. That slider is looking really good.
Center fielder, Albert Almora Jr.
Second time through the order now. Here's the leadoff man, Albert Almora, who flied out to center on the first pitch of the ball game.
He's throwing it for strikes when he wants to the backside and back footing it when he wants to the right-handed hitters, leading the lefties out of the zone low and away.
Broke his bat. Ketel Marte runs it down. Well, hopefully, knowing that he's got his A game tonight, at least based on what we've seen so far, will energize Patrick and give him a boost out there.
Well, not only a good slider, but then comes back with a fastball in a good location that time to Almora. He likes to hit the fastball, but that one just ate him up inside.
Chris Bryant has the Cubs' only hit. The hard single into left his first time up. Came with a fastball in. It's 1-0. Bryant now with an 8-game hitting streak, actually making 9 with that first inning single. So he's hit safely now in 12 of his last 14 games, and during that stretch he's hitting about 380.
I'll tell you, on this road trip, Cubs went to San Francisco before coming here to Arizona. Chris Bryant is 9 for 16.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he is.
A reigning NL MVP, in fact, and he's ahead 3-0. Anthony Rizzo would be next. Fastball away. Strike one, says Mark Wegner. Another fastball, and it's full 3-2.
Couple of head shakes right there, coming with a fastball in.
Belted into left center. Ryan digging for second, and he's in there with a double. Well, they tried to get one more fastball by him, but Brian was ready.
And he missed his location badly that time. Jeff Mathis wanted it in, slides way in on the inside part of the plate, and you can see him reaching out over to the outside part. And Bryant bangs it into center field. Good aggressive base running, gets him to second base here with 2 outs in the inning.
So he's got both Chicago hits. Bryant already with 5 hits in the series. He's at second, 2 down for Rizzo.
Make him 10 for 17 on this road trip.
Is that good?
That's pretty good.
Drury at second will back up well deep onto the outfield grass. Patrick at 40 pitches, 28 strikes. Rosales off the bag at third. Slider missed it. It's 2-0. Rizzo handles himself very well against left-hand pitchers. He's about 290 versus lefties this year with 10 homers. Fastball's a strike, 2-1. Mentioned during the game last night that it looks like Rizzo, who used to stand right on top of the plate, has backed off a bit.
And choked up just a little bit against Patrick Corbin tonight. We saw him against Taijuan Walker last night, right down on the knob of the bat.
And Rizzo drives it to center. A.J. reaches out, and he's got it. A.J. Pollock saves a run. There's a Gold Glove in center for the Diamondbacks, and it's A.J. Pollock still scoreless. Thanks to that terrific catch by A.J. Pollock. Hey fans, there it is, the 50-50 raffle here at Chase Field, and now you can participate in our 50-50 charity raffle from home along with all of us here at Chase. Get your tickets online for your chance to win half the pot and help kids in our community. You can buy your tickets at dbacks.com/50-50 raffle, and then stay tuned for the D-Backs Live post-game show where we announce the winner. Right now, BB, the jackpot is almost $35,000 and going up.
And once again tonight, just like last night, if you go online or if you're here at the ballpark, you get 80 tries for 20 bucks. Usually it's 40 for 20, but because of the big crowd here, want to get more fans involved. 80 tries for 20 bucks. Can't beat that.
80, they'll give you a receipt, print out 80 different numbers, and you can walk away with half the pot. And the other half goes to help all the kids in our community.
It's a good deal, believe me.
Yeah, it's working out right here. Maybe I can afford to get my roof fixed now.
Yeah, maybe. Good luck with that.
Those monsoon rains. 1 and 2 on Patrick Corbin. There's the 50-50 raffle. They have booths here at the ballpark. They have folks walking around selling tickets.
Very easy to spot them in the stands wearing the bright yellow t-shirts.
That was one of, in our time here together, the best moments we've ever had at Chase Field, when all the fans here got together and raised the total for the 50-50 to over $100,000 for the Yarnell 19.
That was fantastic. What a night.
It was a special night to be here, and everybody got on board. It was great.
One of the biggest ovations we've heard all season was when that tote board out there rolled around to $100,000. People went absolutely crazy here at the ballpark.
It was just a great sense of community and everybody pitching in and getting together in the wake of a terrible tragedy. Patrick waves at that cut fastball. Lester's now struck out 3 in a row and 4 for the ball game. And it's not just tonight. Don't forget, you can play the 50-50 raffle from home all season long. dbacks.com/50-50 raffle is the place to go right now and buy your tickets. David Peralta singled to lead off the ball game for the Diamondbacks. Lester at 40 pitches, 25 strikes. Bouncer to the rookie Happ. 2 outs.
Hey fans, a D-Backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Adam Rosales, a base hit his first time up, a single into right field. Got good news from Miami. The Marlins have taken a lead over the Rockies. Colorado now trailing 4-2. They're in the 6th inning at Marlins Park.
Giancarlo Stanton with number 41. He's like a vitamin, one a day.
He's putting up the numbers, that's for sure. There's a strike. And the Brewers, who along with the Pirates were 6.5 games behind the Diamondbacks wild card position. Brewers are losing at home to the Reds 5-4. Pirates already lost at Toronto, the Rogers Center 7-2. Blue Jays beat Pittsburgh. Cardinals only 4.5 back. And St. Louis is winning again. They're hosting Atlanta tonight, and the Cardinals have a 5-3 lead in the 6th. By the way, I read that Derek Jeter is going to buy the Marlins. Apparently there's reportedly an agreement in place for the group, of which Jeter is a big part. He's going to buy the ball club, and apparently Derek is going to get rid of that sculpture out there left field. He doesn't like it, not up to his standards. Not sure it's up to anyone's standards, frankly, except for Jeffrey Lurie, who is selling the team, and he's apparently going to make a pretty penny.
The way Stanton is hitting home runs not only this year but throughout his career, they could probably do some kind of a deal with Target.
Oh, see, that's
logo out there.
You are a marketing genius. Wild card race, Giancarlo Stanton, and there it goes. The Rockies in Miami, 1 game up on the D-backs for that first wild card spot. Marlins have a 4-2 lead right now. Cardinals right behind the D-backs. They're hosting Atlanta in St. Louis. Tommy Pham scores Carlos Martinez. And the Cardinals right now have a lead. Reds, Zach Cozart goes deep in Milwaukee. Look at the National League wild card race. So let's see. The Cardinals have a 5-3 lead in the 6th inning on the Braves. And Milwaukee is trailing the Reds 5-4 in the 5th inning at Miller Park. Ben Zobrist, cleanup man, leads off the 4th. Patrick Corbin. T-Mobile has our unlimited baseball break, so we get a look at the current standings now. The Pirates, who were with Milwaukee 6.5 back, have already lost. They were beaten by the Blue Jays in Toronto. And so those are the 3 scores, all 3 games still in progress. That we'll keep an eye on for you here over the course of the ball game.
The Cardinals, the hottest team in baseball right now. They've won their last 7 in a row.
Yeah, they got some. They got a little jolt of energy when they got Dexter Fowler back, it seemed. And as you said the other day, Yadier Molina, he just likes to win baseball games.
Yeah. Didn't they have back-to-back walk-off grand slams 2 days in a row? Dexter Fowler hit one. Yadier Molina hit one. That'll give your offense a boost.
3.5. You know, it's funny when we saw the Cardinals, they looked like a disjointed ball club. They kind of weren't all on the same page. Things weren't clicking for them, but it's amazing how quickly things can change. Patrick ahead 0-2 on Ian Happ. Called strike 3. Got him looking at a fastball. That's 5 strikeouts for Corbin.
Boy, how good has the Patrick Corbin slider been tonight? That last pitch was a fastball right there. Caught Happ looking. 94 right down the middle of the plate. But coming into this inning, Patrick had thrown 43 pitches, 21 fastballs, and 22 sliders. Now, 8 of those sliders were swung at, 7 of them swings and misses.
And if his slider isn't working as well as it has been, there's no way that Ian Happ is just going to let a fastball like that go by either. Schwarber struck out his first time up on a slider. Patrick now with 50 pitches, 35 strikes. And he's got 5 strikeouts, no walks. He's given up only 2 hits, both to Chris Bryant. Fastball's in there, and it's 1-1. That was another slider. Boy, Schwarber just overmatched right there. And then followed up with a fastball. 6 strikeouts for Patrick Corbin. Oh, he looks great tonight. No score here against the Cubs.
No score. Both pitchers on top of their game early tonight. Time to take a look at this day in baseball history, brought to you by Geico. Back in 2001, Braves manager Bobby Cox ordered an intentional walk of Steve Finley, and the walk would snap Greg Maddox's National League record, 72 1/3 innings pitched without giving up a walk.
A.J. Pollock leads off the 4th. Big crowd here at Chase Field. D-backs and Cubs, no score. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. Occasionally we get a VIP that swings by the booth. You know, we try not to make a big deal out of it, you know, because celebrities flock to Bob Brenly. But we've got 10-year-old Caleb in here and his family. Caleb is having a big day at the ballpark today. He's here with his whole family through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Caleb was taking batting practice. He was down there playing catch with Goldie. I saw Nick Ahmed giving him a tour of the Diamondback clubhouse. And there they are. The whole family is here. Wave, guys. You're on TV.
It's been a full day for Caleb here at the ballpark. Most popular guy in a D-backs uniform tonight.
He's got the red carpet treatment. 1 and 2 on AJ. Broken bat, and Baez is under that. Let's take a look at Caleb's day. In fact, how about this? I mean, this is big time right
big
here.
League. Yeah.
The whole Boop family was here. Of course, you got to hit the pool. The roof was open during batting practice, and then they close it up.
Hey, what's up, Caleb? Shelby. Nice to meet you. Move Robbie Ray right out of the way.
Oh, he got to go in the cage.
That made that Goldie sound off the bat.
That's awesome. There are all the guys. A little catch with Goldie.
We got a cool little basketball hoop in there for guys to.
Nick Ahmed giving him a tour of the clubhouse. Here's Goldie now. So we're thrilled to have Caleb and his whole family here with us today. And a tremendous job, as always, by the folks over at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We want to give them their props as well and our thanks. I tell you what, now we just need Goldie a home run right here. Yeah. That'd be perfect, right?
Love it when a plan comes together.
Lester has retired 6 in a row.
Bite off a little too much strike zone with that cutter. Goldie really make Caleb's day.
Well, Goldie homered here last night. The other way to right field, always a great sign. He's got 2 homers in his last 3 games and 7 home runs since the All-Star break. He's ahead 3-0. JD Martinez on deck. Here's the 3-1 to Goldie. He walked him. First walk issued by Lester today.
Right field,
JD got one way up in the air, deep to right field, but it was allowed out to lead off the second, so he's 0 for 1. And usually JD is up there swinging very early in counts. Sometimes he'll chase some low fastballs, but he can generally get to those pitches. Big guy up there at 6'3", 220. Another cutter into the right-hand batter from the lefty Lester, and it's 1-0. Martinez, get down, ball. There it is. A walk and a single with 1 out.
shortstop,
Ketel Marte had a base hit his first time up today. Paul Goldschmidt, the runner at second. JD Martinez at first. Ketel just had his 10-game hitting streak snapped last night, 0 for 3 with a walk. There's that cutter down and away, trying to get it through the back door. 1-0.
You mentioned that base hit by Marte back in the second inning. A line drive through the right side, came off the bat at 110 miles per hour. Did a little elevation. That ball go a long way.
Yeah, we've seen when Quintel barrels it up, man, it will go. He's got power. Diamondbacks just 2 starts ago, after all, against John Lester. As we mentioned earlier, knocked him out of the ball game after only 4 innings. That was that ugly 16-4 Cubs win, but they really gave Lester a hard time early. On the ground to shortstop, Baez for 1, and that's it. Martinez coming in hard at second. And you can see Marty Foster signaling the ball was dropped on the transfer. So Goldie's at third. Marte at first, 2 outs for Brandon Drury.
It's going to be tough to turn 2 with Marte running anyway, but Baez mishandled that ball, really threw off the timing of the play. Cubs were lucky just to get the out at second base.
I was going to say, in that start against the Diamondbacks a couple of weeks ago, Lester needed 104 pitches just to get through 4 innings. He's only at 59 right now, but the Diamondbacks have a threat here. 2-1 and 2 out for Drury. First pitch swinging, popped it up. Avila in foul ground. And that ends the threat. We'll head to the 5th. No score, the D-backs and the Cubs. Inning, 2 more strikeouts for Patrick Corbin, and that slider has looked as good tonight as we've seen it, Bob, in a long time.
It really has. Occasionally Patrick can get a little lazy with that pitch, and it just rolls up there to the plate. Very flat, very easy for a hitter to track, but he is on top of it and just burying it against both righties and lefties.
He struck out Happ and Schwarber to end the 4th. Patrick already with 6 strikeouts. He's only given up 2 hits. Both to Chris Bryant, a single and a double. He struck out Baez his first time up, and Baez leads off the 5th. That just rolled the other way, right by Goldie. No chance for Paul that time, and Baez has a leadoff single.
Now, coming into this inning, Patrick Corbin had 2 1-pitch outs, 1 2-pitch out, and 5 times he got an out on 3 pitches, including 2 3-pitch strikeouts.
Catcher Alex Avila.
Alex Avila, the strikeout victim, his first time up, the number 8 hitter tonight.
That's the first inning the Cubs have had the leadoff man on. All 4 innings he was able to retire the first batter until that opposite field cue shot off the bat of Javier Baez.
Diamondbacks have the shift on. 3 defenders on the right side of the infield. Rosales, the 3rd baseman, the only guy on the left side. Rosales at 3rd today. Night off for Jake Lamb. In with a fastball that missed. It's 1-1. Avila doesn't often chase bad pitches. He did walk twice last night, once with the bases full.
Patrick looking for that ground ball. Among National League pitchers this season, he's got a ground ball percentage of 50. That ranks 7th in the National League.
Another fastball, another strike. It's 1-2. Well, that would be especially welcome here with the pitcher Lester on deck. Into right, a base hit. He hit it right over the shift. Baez took a big turn around second, and Martinez gets it back into third quickly. A pair of singles open up the Chicago fifth.
Yeah, which sets up what you would assume would be a sacrifice bunt attempt by John Lester.
Pitcher John
Lester with 3 sack bunts on the season.
Does have a home run on his resume against Patrick Corbin at Wrigley Field earlier this month. But he's got the top of the order coming up behind him. 2 on, nobody out here in the fifth. See where Goldie is, halfway in from first. Rosales will have to stay near the bag at third. Tony Perez-Chica positioning his infielders. Lester squares, pulls back and takes ball 1.
These are those dangerous rallies. We talk about them all the time that start at the bottom of the order. The number 7-8 hitter with back-to-back base hits. Lester trying to bunt him up into scoring position, and you roll around to the top of the order.
Throw down to second. Baez was a bit of a wild card out there. Mathis almost threw that one into center field. Patrick at 60 pitches, 42 strikes.
I'll tell you when that pickoff is especially effective is when the batter bunts through the ball. Because as a runner at second base, especially with a trail runner behind you at first, you're always trying to get that jump to make sure you can make it to third base. And when the batter bunts through the ball, that's when you can usually catch a runner taking an extra step or 2 on his lead and pick him off second base.
Goldie still in halfway. Lester bunts that one foul. Look how far in Goldie is now. He's almost on the third baseline.
Hernandez-like, Todd Helton-like, charge in there from the first base side of the field and field a bunt on the third base side.
As Rosales can't get too close to the ball, right? He's got to stay near that bag.
Well, especially with a left-handed pitcher on the mound, you'd like to think Patrick Corbin, being a good athlete, could bounce off and get to a bunt on the left side and try to get the lead runner at third.
Goldie's got it, and he's got one play. Lester moves the runners along. 3-4 on the sacrifice. And now they'll work to the leadoff man, Albert Almora Jr., who's 0 for 2. Almora singled, scored a run last night. He homered in the Cubs game at San Francisco on Wednesday. Perez-Chica again from the dugout there on the top step, positioning the infielders. about medium depth here around the infield.
Big out to get right here. It would at least give you the option of walking Chris Bryant with a base open at first. Bryant is 2 for 2 in the ball game already tonight and looks pretty locked in.
And have the left-hand hitting Rizzo behind him, although Rizzo does handle left-hand pitching pretty well. 1-0 on Albert Almora Jr. Just got a piece of that slider. It's a ball and a strike. Almora is a right-hand bat that Joe Madden can start in center field against lefties like Corbin in place of John Jay. And Almora has been hitting lefties really well this year, nearly .350 against left-handers, including 4 of his 5 home runs. In with a fastball, and it's 2-1. 65 pitches, 45 strikes. Patrick has struck out 6. He's yet to walk a batter. He's got Baez at third and Avila at second. Foul down the third base line, and here comes Terry Finley. It's old foul pole Finley.
Terry usually works the right field side of the chase here, but tonight he's over there on the left field side.
Well, that's because your guy, the Lizard King, Rodney Morrison, has got right field tonight.
Foul pole Finley showing her versatility.
Boy, I tell you what, she was all over that. That was a no-doubter. So Patrick has got 2 strikes on Almora. Bryant on deck. Bryant 2 for 2 so far. There's another one right in front of Gary Jones, coaching at third. Almora just fighting off these sliders here from Corbin. Big crowd here tonight. Everybody cool and comfortable inside Chase Field, maybe except Patrick Corbin. Second and third, 1 out, 2-2 on Almora. Come on, Mark Wagner. Nope. He didn't like it. It's full.
Just off the plate, down and in that time. Almora being a little more patient this third at bat in the ball game. He saw 1 pitch in his first at bat. He saw 2 pitches in his second at bat. The next delivery from Patrick Corbin will be number 7 of this at bat.
That was a good call off the plate. Here it is on 3-2. Almora took the fastball in, fouled off that slider. Bryant has singled and doubled in 2 at bats so far. He's on deck. Wow, that one almost got Baez. And there's foul pole. She's way out there now. Baez was close to standing on the line there.
Yeah, well, we talk about it all the time, and we'll point it out once again. When you're the base runner at third base, you lead off in foul territory just in case you get hit by a batted ball. It's just a foul ball. If you're in fair territory and get hit by a batted ball, you're out.
He was flirting with it. Real good at bat here by Almora. One more time on 3-2. Marte coming home. Got him. Baez wants a review. Jeff Mathis applies the tag.
think they got him. Well, more, or rather Baez tried to do that little swim move where you slide head first, stick the left hand out, and then pull it back. But I don't think he ever got the right hand on home plate before Jeff Mathis applied the tag.
And the Cubs will challenge. So the crew chief, Mike Winters, comes in from first base. The plate ump, Mark Wegner, who made the call, puts on the headsets as well. And we'll talk to New York.
Ladies and gentlemen, the previous one is an official video replay review. The call on the field is that the runner was out at home plate.
The call is out at home.
The review was initiated with the manager challenged by the Chicago Cubs.
Boy, it's awfully close. They showed a pretty good angle on the DBTV board here. It didn't take New York very long, though. He is out. So the call is not only stands, but it's confirmed. And it'll sync up these two angles.
Not enough to certainly overturn right there.
Well, now the question becomes, how do you want to play this? Because you've got Avila, the catcher, at third, Almora at first. Bryant is the hitter. He's 2 for 2 against Corbin so far tonight. The left-hand hitting Rizzo is on deck.
A lot of different ways to attack this situation. For me, I go after Rizzo. I think Chris Bryant looks like he's absolutely locked in at the plate tonight. He's seen a number of pitches already from Patrick Corbin and hit him hard a couple of times.
Bryant already has 5 hits in the series. He has singled and doubled in 2 at-bats tonight against Patrick Corbin. So they'll work to Bryant. Slider misses, and it's 1-0.
Could be one of those at bats too where Torey Lovullo will let Patrick attack Chris Bryant. If he falls behind 2-0, maybe you go ahead and intentionally walk him at that point.
Fastball, 2 balls and no strikes. Rizzo, who's on deck, is hit into a fielder's choice and lined out hard to center. A.J. Pollock made a terrific running catch to end the third. Patrick behind 2-0. Check his swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, Mike Winters. Another Corbin slider here.
On the 2-0 count, he goes right back to that slider.
Ooh. Well, he might not have gone there. Bryant this year, as we've mentioned, walking a lot more often, striking out less frequently. Avila, the catcher, is at third. Almora, the center fielder, at first. 2-1 to Chris Bryant. Fastball in, 3 balls and 1 strike. All 4 of the bases are loaded for Rizzo. First walk issued by Patrick tonight. Boy, Bryant was on base 5 times last night. He's been on base all 3 times he's been up tonight. And here is Rizzo, who's 0 for 2.
This is a moment for Patrick Corbin. Torey Lovullo likes to point out in his postgame the moments that the Diamondbacks either took advantage of or were not able to take advantage of. This is a big moment right here for Patrick Corbin.
Try and win the moments. Avila, the catcher, at third. Almora, the center fielder, at second. And Bryant, the third baseman, who runs well, is at first. Rizzo does handle himself just fine against lefties. About .290 against left-hand pitchers this year with 10 home runs. He did hit a home run against Patrick Corbin August 1st in Chicago. Drury is way back on the outfield grass at second. Swing, and he drives it to right. Martinez backing up at the track, and he's got it. Patrick Corbin puts a 0 on the board.
Slider to Anthony Rizzo and then rushes him inside. Fans got a little excited here. The Cub fans did anyway, but J.D. Martinez with plenty of room, and very frustrating for one of the Cubs leaders. He expects to come through every time with runners in scoring position. Not this time.
Patrick Corbin just exceptional. It took Patrick 25 pitches in that inning, but he left the bases full against Anthony Rizzo. And so it's still 0-0 as Jeff Mathis leads off the home half against John Lester. Mathis struck out his first time up. Each team with 4 hits in the ball game. Still no score. There's a fly ball to Almora in center. Tell you what, Bob, Anthony Rizzo is very much a team leader. He's the clear leader of this Cubs team, and everybody will tell you that. But for a guy who's a big front-running kind of leader, the face of the franchise, if you will, he's kind of a low-key, quiet guy. I don't remember seeing him that animated or frustrated on a baseball field in a long time.
Well, it was a moment for Anthony Rizzo, too. I mean, that's one way to look at it. Patrick Corbin got the better of him that time. As you mentioned, Rizzo took Patrick deep at Wrigley Field. Those moments come up sometimes many times over the course of the game, and somebody's got to win.
That was an enormous win for Patrick Corbin. That was really big. He has been outstanding tonight. 1 walk. He's got 6 strikeouts. He's given up only 4 hits. And he's kept the Cubs scoreless through 5.
Corbin has held the Cubs 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position in the ballgame tonight. They had 2 hits and a walk in that inning and didn't score.
That's hard to do. Chicago has stranded 6 so far for Joe Madden. His club only 1 game ahead of the Cardinals for that Central Division lead. St. Louis leads the Braves at Busch Stadium tonight 6-3. They're in the 8th inning. Cardinals only 4.5 games behind the Diamondbacks wild card spot. David Peralta, who singled to lead off the ball game, is on deck. David homered here last night. Yes, he went. Mike McClinsky rings up Corbin. 6 strikeouts for John Lester.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Well, here's the energy man. Torey Lovullo will tell you that. David Peralta, an energized player. He's responded well to batting leadoff. 1 for 2 so far tonight. Diamondbacks have got to get Corbin a couple of runs here. The way he's pitched, he's earned it. Base is empty, 2 down. Peralta and Rosales led off the first inning against Lester with singles. After that, Ketel Marte a 1-out single in the second. JD Martinez a 1-out single in the fourth. That's been all the offense so far. Diamondbacks have stranded 4. Lester at 70 pitches, 43 strikes. We go back to that at bat for David last night against John Lackey in the 5th inning. That was with 2 outs, just like this one. And Lackey tried a slider. Threw it for a strike, but David on the next pitch was ready for that fastball down and away, and he just launched it for his 11th home run of the year. Avila sets up down and away, and that one missed. Went to the fastball, and it's 2-2. Rosales on deck. He's at third base tonight. Jake Lamb has the night off. Swing and a miss. Cutter from Lester. He's got 7 strikeouts, no score through 5. A pitcher's duel at Chase Field, scoreless as we start the 6th inning. What's next is brought to you by CenturyLink. The series finale tomorrow. Diamondbacks live pregame show at 12:30 on Fox Sports Arizona. The first pitch at 1:10. Jake Arrieta and Zach Godley. Zach Godley, of course, a Cubs draftee out of the University of Tennessee. So Godley gets the ball tomorrow. Ben Zobrist, the cleanup man, leads off the Chicago 6th and shoots that one foul the other way. Zobrist 0 for 2 so far. Zobrist There's Jake Arrieta. Zobrist is a guy who went through some left wrist inflammation that had him on the DL in June. He was out about 3 weeks. And he's only had 6 extra base hits in 30 games since he came off the DL. That was on July the 1st. So for a cleanup guy here, there's not a whole lot of pop. Patrick ahead 1-2.
Well, we talked about it when the Dodgers were in town with Logan Forsythe hitting in what you would consider to be a run producing spot in the lineup. A guy that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, doesn't drive a lot of balls in the gap, but he gives you that long at bat. He sees a lot of pitches, possibly tiring a pitcher out, maybe make a mistake to the guys behind him in the order. The Dodgers did it with Logan Forsythe. The Diamondbacks do it with Daniel Descalso. Slide him in there behind J.D. Martinez, hoping that he'll work a long at bat and really tire out that opposing pitcher.
Ian Happ on deck. This is tapped to first. Short hop for Goldie. Corbin hustles over there, and that's the first out. Well, they've got plenty of other guys certainly who hit home runs. I mean, Bryant, Rizzo, Happ, Schwarber, Baez. Avila hit a long one here last night. But this guy Happ's an intriguing player. He's only 23. In fact, he's 23 years old today, Ian Happ. But he switch hits. He's got power. He can play any infield or almost any outfield position too. He's been all over the field for Joe Madden this year. Cubs first round draft pick just 2 years ago. Out of the University of Cincinnati, Ian Happ. Homered in his first ever big league game at St. Louis. Got called up from AAA in the middle of May. That one rolls foul, and it's 0-2. Struck him out, chased a high fastball. 7 strikeouts for Corbin.
Hey fans, we invite you to participate in Gila River game nights by signing up at one of the interactive kiosks located at Chase Field during any D-backs home game.
Kyle Schwarber is the hitter. Schwarber so far. It's a tough at bat for Kyle Schwarber against Patrick Corbin, a left-hander with that big slider. He struck out both times he's been up there. And it's kind of led just like that right there. You know, Patrick this year here at Chase Field, he's been really good. He's 6-3 in a dozen home starts, a 3.14 ERA. It's been away from Chase Field where he's had most of his trouble. What? Is he blindfolded? He might be.
Sometimes it feels that way.
I mean, it's kind of a grip it and rip it deal here for Schwarber against Corbin. Waits at another slider. 8 strikeouts for Patrick Corbin, who has worked 6 scoreless innings at Chase. It in here tonight, and it's been a terrific pitchers duel. The Diamondbacks and the Cubs. And fans, this is the atmosphere that we love to share with you here down at Chase Field. Now is the best time to become a Diamondback season ticket holder. You enjoy exclusive benefits, flexible payment options, and you can design your own plan that's just right for you. And if you buy right now, you guarantee postseason priority. So buy or renew right now online. 2018 Diamondback season tickets at dbacks.com/advantage. 42,219 in here tonight, and it has been a really good ball game. But it's time to get a run here for Patrick Corbin. Rosales, Pollock, Goldie 2, 3, and 4 here against John Lester in the Diamondbacks 6th. Lester at 75 pitches, 46 for strikes. Rosales has singled and struck out looking. He's 1 for 2. Lester took just a little bit off that cutter that time, and it's 1-2. Patrick Corbin has had his slider working from the left side. John Lester the cut fastball. Went to it again, but missed inside, and it's 2-2. Adam Rosales so far 5 for 20 in 7 games as a Diamondback, acquired from the Oakland A's at the trade deadline. Good take there, cutter away, and it's full. Pollock on deck, Goldie in the hole. Rosales launches one down the line, but foul. Just couldn't straighten that one out. Can't handle it. Rosales is aboard. Hard hit to shortstop. Second hit tonight for Adam Rosales in the 2-hole, and that brings up A.J. Pollock.
Oh, hit hard in that hole between third and short, as Tony Gwynn used to call it, the 5.5 hole. I'm not so sure Baez would have been able to get Rosales anyway, even if he comes up with it cleanly. He's credited with an infield hit.
Adams always run pretty well. A.J. Pollock 0 for 2. AJ's in it right now a little bit. He is 4 for his last 36 up there, and trying to get it going. Lester at 80 pitches, 49 strikes. First pitch curveball that time to Pollock, and it's 1-0.
Third time through the order, John Lester starting to mix in some of his secondary pitches. We haven't seen but maybe one of those curveballs all night long before that pitch.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of cutters, the occasional changeup, and some four-seam fastballs for the most part. Mark Wegner says strike one. Diamondbacks have not tried to apply any real pressure on Lester on the bases at all. It's not like they've had a ton of runners. They've stranded 4 tonight. They've only got 5 hits and a walk. There's a fastball, and it's 1-2.
Players just have to fight their instincts over there as a runner at first base. You see Adam Rosales was leaning back toward first base as that ball was delivered to home. He is not going to throw it over there.
As you mentioned, Anthony Rizzo certainly doesn't look like he anticipates a throw ever. Sent back to the cutter, and it's even 2-2. Paul Goldschmidt on deck. Goldie has struck out and walked tonight. Lester has walked 1. He struck out 7. Tried to catch the outside of that strike zone with that cut fastball, moving back in toward the right-hand hitter, but he didn't get it in there enough, and it's full. So back-to-back 3-2 counts open up the Diamondbacks' 6th. Three and 2 to Pollock. Rosales holds it first. AJ hits a bouncer up the middle. Baez corrals that one, and they get 1 at first. Too far behind the bag to get Rosales, and so he's in scoring position with 1 out for Goldie.
Unfortunately, that ball hung up in the air long enough that Baez had to back up a half a step to make the play on the big hop right there. Can't recover in time to get back to the bag at second, but just does get AJ over there at first base on a bang-bang play.
Goldie 0 for 1. He walked his last time up, struck out against Lester to win the first, and they're going to give him the no-pitch intentional walk with first base open and work to J.D. Martinez. So here comes J.D., who has flied out deep to right and singled. This is a moment here for the Diamondbacks.
Indeed it is.
Try and win this one. Corbin won a big moment in the 5th inning when he left the bases full. Now 2 on and 1 out for the Diamondbacks here in the 6th. Martinez drives it to right. Zobrist backing up, and it's off the wall. Here comes Rosales. They'll stop Goldie at third, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks. J.D. Martinez.
Boy, does he drive that ball hard to the opposite field. That one never got very high off the ground and bangs off the fence over the head of Ben Zobrist. Absolute missile off the bat of J.D. Martinez.
They get Patrick Corbin their run, and they're bidding for a whole lot more. Second and third, still only 1 out, and it's Ketel Marte. Marte has singled and hit into a fielder's choice. This is the place to be tonight, Chase Field in downtown Phoenix. Another cutter from Lester, and it's 0-1.
Boy, J.D. Martinez is absolutely worn out left-handed pitching this year. He was a .396 hitter with a .925 slugging percentage against left-handed pitching this year.
They wanted to work to him instead of Paul Goldschmidt. They walked Goldie, and Martinez made him pay. 0-1 on Ketel Marte. Infield in for the Cubs. Can check his swing, and it's 0-2. Brandon Drury on deck. Pitch number 90 from John Lester coming up. Lester's spot is due up third in the Chicago 7th. There's no one warming up in the Cub bullpen. 90 pitches, 55 strikes. 1-2 on the Diamondbacks shortstop. D-backs with a 1-0 lead. They've out-hit the Cubs 6-4. Rockies are trailing at Miami 4-3. They're in the 8th. Cardinals home against the Braves. St. Louis leads 6-3. They're in the 9th. Baez coming home, and he throws it away. Goldie scores, and it's 2-0. Oh, they had Paul Goldschmidt dead to rights. He was hung up halfway between third and home, and Baez just threw the ball away.
Diamondbacks have seen Javier Baez very sloppy defensively. He made some plays at Wrigley Field that made you scratch your head a little bit. Very casual once again on this throw to home plate. Just air mails it over everybody all the way to the backstop. You can see Goldie had stopped halfway between third and home. Was going to try to get caught in a rundown, but when that throw sailed to the backstop, he was able to walk on home with the second run of the game.
Fielder's choice, E6, the error on the shortstop Baez. So now 2 runs are in. Martinez at third, Marte at second. Still only 1 out, and here's Brandon Drury, who's 0 for 2. Drury drives it deep to center field. Way back, and it's off the wall. Martinez is home. Marte right behind. Brandon Drury. It's 4-0.
Welcome back, Brandon Drury. Oh man, belt high out over the plate. A rare mistake from John Lester, and Brandon Drury was ready to take advantage. Line drive off the wall out there just above the 407 mark. Yeah, you can be excited.
Oh boy, did he need that. 26th double for Drulo. 42,000 plus, and it's 4-0 Diamondbacks. Mathis 0 for 2. Bob, I'm going to go back to the top of the first inning when we asked you for your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
We need a win.
We're on the right track. It all started with Adam Rosales. A single to lead off the inning. Hector Rondon gets working in the Cub bullpen. Lester at 95 pitches. He will bat third in the Cubs' 7th. One and 2 on the D-backs catcher. Patrick Corbin. His spot is up next, and Patrick is in the on-deck circle. He has pitched a tremendous ball game here tonight. A 4-run D-backs sixth.
First 5 innings of this game, the Diamondbacks had 4 hits, all singles. Weren't able to push across a run, but this inning, a couple of extra base hits among the 3 have led to the 4 runs.
J.D. Martinez banged a double off the wall in right, and Brandon Drury dead center field off the wall in center over the head of Elmore out there. 1-2 on Mathis. Drury still at second, 1 out. Swing and a miss, and Jeff strikes out. 8 strikeouts for Lester. And Corbin will hit.
Pitcher, Patrick Corbin.
Patrick at 89 pitches in the ball game. Torrey's going to let him hit for himself here with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position in the bottom half of the 6th inning.
Boy, Patrick, who threw 25 pitches in that 5th inning to get out of a bases loaded mess, came back with a 1-2-3 6th, including a couple of strikeouts. So he has really been at the top of his game tonight.
And I'm sure that influenced Torrey's decision to let him take this at bat. If he had really struggled in the top half of the 6th inning to get 3 outs, even if he kept the Cubs off the board, maybe you'd think about pulling the plug on him and going to the bullpen. But he came back in a big way in that top of the 6th, so Torrey's going to send him back out there again.
And if Patrick can get through the 7th, then you're all set up for Archie Bradley in the 8th and Rodney in the 9th. Lester, a 27 pitch 6th inning here, and he's not done yet. 100 pitches for the ball game, 63 for strikes. Brandon Drury still at second with 2 outs. That kicks away from Avila, and Drury's into third. One more of those Dooges fine here.
Oh, yeah.
Strike 2. Cubs will have the lower third of the order due up in their 7th inning. Baez, Avila in the pitcher spot, 7, 8, 9. Two and 2 to Patrick Corbin. And that's strike 3. But the Diamondbacks get 4. We'll head to the 7th at Chase Field. J.D. Martinez bangs an RBI double off the wall in right. And then Brandon Drury deep to center for 2 more. 4-0 D-backs. Brandon Drury helped the Diamondbacks along to a 4-0 lead over the Cubs as we start the 7th inning. And fans will remind you, don't miss the D-backs and the Giants weekend series coming up here at Chase Field August 25th through the 27th. First 20,000 fans with us here on Saturday the 26th. Get a terrific item, a D-backs cooler bag. That's courtesy of Arizona Milk Producers. Visit dbacks.com for your tickets. So Patrick Corbin back out there to start the 7th. At 89 pitches, he's got a 4-0 lead. Andrew Chafin has started warming up in the Diamondback bullpen. And Javier Baez, who singled his last time up, leads it off for the Cubs.
And for Patrick Corbin, it's been almost a 50-50 split. Coming into this inning, he's thrown 43 fastballs, 46 sliders. 14 of those the Cubs have swung and missed at.
Slider has been excellent tonight, just like that. Patrick has walked 1. He has struck out 8. He struck out the side in the 2nd. Struck out the last 2 batters in the 4th inning and the last 2 in the 6th. Oh, 2 on Baez. Up the middle, Marte can't get there. It's a leadoff single. Just the 5th hit for the Cubs against Corbin.
Is pretty much a dead pull hitter. Marte always plays him a couple steps over into that 5.5 hole, and that one just sneaks by into center field.
Andrew Chafin warming up in the bullpen. He'll be joined now by the right-hander Archie Bradley. And the hitter is Alex Avila, the Cubs catcher. Diamondbacks have the shift on for the left-hand batter. Avila hit one right over the shift his last time up. And he's 1 for 2. Pitcher spot up next. John Lester's night is over. That's Tommy La Stella. He will hit for the pitcher.
All the available bats off the bench for Joe Madden tonight hit from the left side of the plate. La Stella, Jay, and Hayward. You also have the switch hitting catcher Caratini. But the guys that can do the damage all swing from the left side.
Good fastball there from Patrick, and it's 1-1. Joe Madden feeling the pressure. The Cardinals have won. They beat the Braves 6-5. St. Louis only 1 game back of the Cubs' National League Central lead at the start of play today. And we're only 4.5 games behind the Diamondbacks for that second wild card spot. So if the Cubs drop this one, there'll be a tie atop the NL Central Division. Chicago and St. Louis, with Milwaukee and Pittsburgh right behind. Brewers are tied up at home against the Reds 5-5. They're in the 9th inning. Pirates 7-2 losers in Toronto earlier today. 2-1 on Avila. Swing and a miss. Another slider from Corbin, and it's 2-2. Patrick approaching 100 pitches. 96 pitches, 66 strikes. Chafin and Bradley warming up in the bullpen. For Patrick Corbin from the start against these Cubs at Wrigley Field earlier this month. Here's a look inside the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Bradley and Chafin. Patrick against Chicago, 7 earned runs, 10 hits. He lasted only 3 innings. Cubs hit 3 home runs against him, but he has bounced back in a big way here tonight.
Stopped by Jeff Mathis that time. When you have a good slider like Patrick has tonight, you know as a catcher you're going to be busy. A lot of those sliders are going to end up in the dirt, low and away from the lefties, low and into the righties. He's got to keep it in front.
Full count on Avila, 3-2. Baez holds it first. This is lifted to left field for David Peralta. And La Stella will hit for Lester.
Pitch hitting for John Lester.
Stella 6 for 17 this season off the bench for Joe Madden. They've got a number of guys that have done a nice job as pinch hitters this season, including John Jay. Alex Avila, coming over from the American League, had some pinch hit at bats over there.
Listella singled to lead off the 9th inning last night and is only at bat in that ball game. Patrick about to throw his 100th pitch. Now Listella only 40 games with the Cubs this year. He's been up and down from the minors 4 different times this season. He's got Baez at first and 1 out. .100 pitches, 69 strikes. Most of the work in that 25 pitch 5th when Patrick was outstanding, left the bases loaded. Patrick Corbin trying to get Torey Lovullo his 21 outs. That's been the mandate from the skipper all year long, and Torey was asked about that before the game today. And of course he was in Toronto for a while. There's Mike Fetters, the bullpen coach, and Torey said it was Pat Henkin who was the guy that had the 21 out thing. This is lifted to short right. Martinez coming in. Drury's got it going out there. 2 down. Nice catch by Brandon Drury over the shoulder and backward.
JD Martinez playing a little deep out there in right field. I don't think he had a chance to get to that ball. Brandon Drury just goes until he hears somebody call him off. A little bit of a snow cone there, but all's well that ends well.
Well, you've got the right hand hitting Albert Almora Jr. Here comes Torey Lovullo to the mound, and Patrick Corbin should get a tremendous ovation if this is it. How about Patrick Corbin tonight? Patrick Corbin just outstanding. 6 2/3 scoreless, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool play of the game. Boy, that slider was just outstanding tonight.
As good as we've seen Patrick all season. Hopefully this will springboard him into the remainder of the season, and we'll see more outings like this from Patrick Corbin. He was outstanding.
He is responsible for Baez at first with 2 outs. Albert Almora, a right-hand batter, was the scheduled hitter, so Torey Lovullo goes to his bullpen. The Ashline call to the bullpen gives us the right-hander Archie Bradley, and Joe Madden counters with his left-hand hitting center fielder John Jay will hit for Almora. Baez at first and 2 outs. Right through Rosales at third. He hit it right to him. And now you'll have to deal with Chris Bryant, and behind him Anthony Rizzo. Bryant is absolutely locked in right now. He's already got 5 hits and 2 walks in the series. He singled in the first, doubled in the third, walked in the 5th tonight. 2 on and 2 out. Second Diamondback error tonight. Drury had an error in the first. First pitch, knuckled curve from Archie that time, and he steals a strike. It's 0-1. High in the air, right field, Martinez has room. We stretch at Chase Field, 4-0 Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks lead the Cubs 4-0. And the new pitcher for Chicago, the right-hander Hector Rondon. His 46th appearance, a 3.95 ERA. He got a win against the Diamondbacks August 1st with 1 2/3 scoreless innings of relief. That was after he came on for John Lester, which is a coincidence, not irony. John Jay will remain in the game after hitting for Albert Almora. He's the new center fielder. And the leadoff man, David Peralta, leads off the Diamondbacks 7th. David singled to lead off the ball game tonight, 1 for 3. Diamondbacks have out hit the Cubs 7-5. They lead it 4-0. Rockies just lost at Marlins Park in Miami. Marlins win it 4-3. Diamondbacks 1 game behind Colorado for that first National League wild card spot. Cardinals have 1. They beat the Braves 6-5. And so if the Cubs drop this one, St. Louis and Chicago will be tied for the National League Central Division lead, with Milwaukee and the Pirates right behind. Brewers 5-5 in the bottom 9 right now at Miller Park. They're tied with the Reds. Pirates lost in Toronto 7-2.
And the Brewers made a deal today, picked up veteran second baseman Neil Walker from the New York Mets.
Well, the Mets just dumping salary at this point. That's a fair ball down the right field line. There goes the freight train. It's a double for Peralta, his 24th.
Kirk pulls that ball right down the first baseline. Got a little bit out in front, but kept his hands back enough to keep that ball fair down into the corner. Now we'll get a pinch hitter for Adam Rosales.
Daniel Descalso, the left-hand batter, will hit for Rosales against the right-hand throwing Rondon. Descalso 0 for 3 with a walk last night, hitting .238 on the year. That one's going to get to the screen. Avila can't find it. Peralta's in at third.
That's a big 90 feet. That'll force the Cubs to bring their infield in. Score David Peralta without the benefit of a base hit right here. Medium deep fly ball probably scores him.
Hard fastball from Hector Rondon, and it's 1-1. That's out of play, and it's 2-2. A.J. Pollock on deck, Goldie in the hole. Peralta, the runner at third, still nobody out. Struck it out with a fastball, 1 down. A.J. tonight 0 for 3. He's stuck in a 4 for 37 skid right now, hitting .277. Infield still in for the Cubs. AJ, even though he's been quiet offensively lately, he's not getting beat with fastballs. So this is a pretty good matchup for him. I mean, he'll knock a fastball into play with the best hitters in the league, which may indicate that maybe he's close to getting hot again. Even a fastball up he's been getting to.
We saw him drive a ball to right field against the Dodgers. Thought maybe that would be the spark to come out of this little bit of a funk that he's in, driving the ball the other way. Seems like he's been a little pull happy lately.
Base hit, it's off the glove of Happ. Peralta's home, and it's 5-0. You know what that means?
Tacos, the happy dancing tacos. We love it. AJ takes advantage of that drawn in infield. Just a hard ground ball back up the middle that Happ can't get to.
Now 9 hits for the Diamondbacks. Here's Goldie. He has walked twice tonight, once intentionally, 0 for 1. Zobrist won't get there. Pollock on the run, digging for third, and he's there. The bats are starting to come to life here at Chase Field.
Odd reaction by Alex Avila behind home plate. I think he might have got crossed up on that pitch. Goldie takes advantage, drives it out there in right field to Ben Zobrist, putting D-backs on the corners with only one out in the inning.
And the hitter is J.D. Martinez, who has singled and doubled J.D. an inning ago. Banged the ball to deep right field for an RBI double off John Lester. He really is a good low ball hitter, isn't he?
He really is. Loves that pitch down around the knees, sometimes maybe even a little bit lower. Especially out over the plate and down.
First and third, one out. A run is home.
Diamondbacks have doubled their hit total from the ball game last night. They were able to only scratch out 5 hits in the game last night against John Lackey and the Cubs bullpen. 10 knocks tonight. Watch this swing if this pitch is anywhere near the strike zone. JD taking a big deep breath. 2-0 count. Figures to get a fastball from Rondon, who throws extremely hard.
2-0 to JD.
Just a little tardy that time on the fastball at 96.
That's just not your night, little guy. That's awesome. It's great to see youngsters invested either way.
Oh, yeah.
Good take there, lays off the slider. 3-1 now. Not always going to go your way. He'll learn that lesson as a baseball fan. It's just great to see him with the hat and the jersey into the ball game. All 4 of the bases are loaded for Ketel Marte. Well, after a 4-run 6th, 1-1 already in here in the 7th. And the bases are loaded with 1 out.
Shortstop, Ketel Marte.
Marte singled in the 2nd, 1 for 3 tonight. A.J. Pollock at 3rd, Paul Goldschmidt at 2nd, and J.D. Martinez at 1st. Little squib shot in foul ground. Bryant runs it down. And that's the 2nd out. Here's Brandon Drury. Well, Brandon started coming out of his funk last night. He had a pinch hit single in the 7th inning. He came up in the 6th 1 inning ago and banged a 2-run double off the wall in deep center. This one off John Lester. It scored 2. And now he's up there with the bases full and 2 outs. Brandon came into the game last night hitting only .202 in his previous 35 games. It's been a slow 6-7 weeks for him, but really starting to show signs right now of coming out of it. Drives this one deep to center field. John Jay backing up. He's got it on the warning track. And Rondon leaves the bases full, but the Diamondbacks get 1. They lead it 5-0. Toward the 5th run of the ball game. Diamondbacks, we got some big games coming up here at Chase Field. We want you to be a part of it. Next up at Chase Field, D-backs and Astros, a 2-game set Monday and Tuesday, followed by the Giants weekend series on this 25th through the 27th. And the Dodgers are back here at the end of the month. Get your tickets now and support your Diamondbacks in the remaining home games this month. Visit dbacks.com for tickets. Daniel Descalso, who hit for Adam Rosales, will stay in the game. He takes over third. Archie Bradley back out there. Anthony Rizzo leads off the Cubs 8th. The baseball internet is buzzing right now about a potential injury to Bryce Harper, who apparently was hurt sliding into first base in a game for the Nationals at home against the Giants.
Yeah, actually, he was just busting it down the first baseline, but a lot of rain had fallen at the ballpark, and he hit the top of the bag and skidded right off, and then his foot stopped when he hit the dirt on the other side. It did not look good.
Well, nobody's said anything yet, but Harper's left the game. Washington leading the Giants 2-1. The Archie Bradley beard. That looks good. I don't know if Garrett looks just like Archie, I think. Yeah. He's pondering that right now. Looks like an evil Game of Thrones character. Mark Wagner didn't like that fastball. It's 3-1. Rizzo 0 for 3 tonight. He's 0 for 7 in the series. 10 hits for the Diamondbacks, only 5 for the Cubs. Each team has left 8. Rizzo hits it hard, but right into the shift. Brandon Drury throws it out for the outfield grass. That'll bring up Ben Zobrist, who can bat from the left-hand side now. Zobrist 0 for 3, the cleanup batter. 1 hit in the series. He singled last night. Brandon Drury one more time. 2 down. So bullpen. Justin Grimm, the right-hander. Diamondbacks in the bottom of this inning will have Jeff Mathis, the pitcher spot, and David Peralta due up 8, 9, and 1. Ian Happ 0 for 3. Switch hitter batting left-handed. This is his power side. Dodgers were beaten last night by Andy Green's Padres in LA, and San Diego is winning there again tonight. It's 2-1 Padres. They're in the 4th at Dodger Stadium. Rockies have already lost. They were beaten by the Marlins in Miami 4-3. Cardinals 6-5 winners at home over the Braves. Brewers and Reds have gone to extras at Miller Park in Milwaukee, 5-5 in the 10th. 3-0 on Ian Happ. Kyle Schwarber, who struck out all 3 times he faced Patrick Corbin tonight. He just had nothing for that Corbin slider. He's on deck. Swing and a miss at the fastball, and it's full 3-2. Archie came on, got the final out of the 7th, trying to work a 1-2-3/8.
You mentioned that Reds Brewers game. 6 home runs hit in that game for the Reds. Adam Duvall, Kiblahan, and Paul Cozart. For the Brewers, Travis Shaw hit his 25th. Ryan Braun number 13, and Eric Thames number 27.
And Travis Shaw had a really good year for Milwaukee this year. That's ball 4. So that'll bring Schwarber to the plate.
Only the second walk in the ball game for Diamondbacks pitching. Only one for Patrick Corbin tonight. And when you think about it, that was that situation where they did have a base open. He kind of pitched carefully to Chris Bryant to go after Anthony Rizzo, who then lined out to right field to end the inning.
Sorry, I dropped my pen and it rolled into the corner. Hate when that happens.
Boy, for Kyle Schwarber tonight, he hates when he faces a left-hander that throws a slider. He had 8 swings against Patrick Corbin. He had 1 foul ball, 7 swings and misses.
It was an overmatch. And we know what Schwarber can do against a right-handed fastball pitcher. He's dangerous up there. It's not fair. Just got a curveball from Archie, and it's 0-2. Well, if anyone in the world is not ready for a breaking pitch here, it's Kyle Schwarber.
Looks like Pedro Serrano tonight.
Doesn't he? Bats are afraid. Fastball, strike 3. Bottom 8 on the way. 5-0 Diamondbacks.
When it is, we're on with Diamondbacks Live, and you have something you want to say right now about Patrick Corbin.
In my opinion, this evening, Patrick Corbin's finest hour as a major league pitcher. This was the biggest outing of his career, trying to stop a 3-game losing streak down the stretch. Finest hour as a major league pitcher.
All right, we will break that down no matter what, and how the Diamondbacks built this lead, which we hope is insurmountable. But that's up to Steve and Bob. So, guys, bring it home, okay?
Oh, it's a lot of pressure. Thanks, T. How about that from Gracie there? Here's Justin Grimm. Patrick Corbin's finest hour as a major league pitcher tonight. It's hard to argue with Gracie. Jeff Mathis leads it off. And by the way, important reminder for everyone watching out there tonight. You really want to make sure you stay tuned for Gracie and Todd on the D-Backs Live postgame show, because we are told, BB, this is big news, we have tonight our very first online 50-50 charity raffle winner, as Mathis hits one to shortstop. So somebody watching out there at home right now has won the 50-50 raffle, we are told. So that's our first online winner. So stay tuned after the ballgame, because you may have already won a valuable prize. Pitcher spot up, and Chris Herman will hit for Archie Bradley.
And if I heard correctly, the winner's share tonight, $37,000.
I bet the big crowd here tonight, over 42,000 with us. Great night for the 50-50, and somebody at home, we're told, won. Nice. So you'll find out who after the ball game. Diamondbacks Live post game show. presented by CenturyLink. Here's the Herminator. Chris had a couple of singles last night in his start behind the plate. What do you think about what Gracie said? A pretty strong comment. Patrick Corbin's finest hour as a big league pitcher tonight.
Tough to argue with that. Certainly this year. I mean, that was the best stuff we've seen from Patrick. As aggressive as we've seen him out there on the mound, he had confidence in his stuff. Jeff Mathis was hanging down the right fingers at the right time, and he just carved up this Cubs lineup like he owned them.
So much of it is timing. And as you mentioned in your Valley Honda dealers, key to the game, we just needed a win here. We need this one. Still got a ways to go here. By the way, we are told by our producer Brad the Big Dog Weimer that we have video of the Bryce Harper injury, and so we'll show that to you right after this at bat. We're told it does not look good. 2-2 now on Herm. This is Bryce Harper injured tonight. Here's a look.
Ground ball right down the first baseline. Foot race to the bag.
Oh goodness. Left knee.
Looks like he was trying to
slips right off the top of the bag and then lands awkwardly on that left foot on the other side. Oh, man.
Wow. And we have no word on Bryce Harper's condition, but boy, that did not look good. And the Herm is down, as he often is. Cubs in the ninth will have the lower third of the order due up. Javier Baez, Alex Avila, and then the pitcher spots 7, 8, 9. D-backs, as Gracie mentioned, trying to snap this 3-game losing streak. A team that really needs a win. Had a big time start from their left-hander tonight, Patrick Corbin. And got some key hits as well. Armin strikes out, 2 down. Peralta got the 7th inning started. A double to lead it off against Hector Rondon. A.J. Pollock had an RBI single. That was in the 7th when they got a run. D-backs got 4 in the 6th. J.D. Martinez and Brandon Drury had big RBI doubles. Fernando Rodney getting ready in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Peralta drives one deep center. Way back, and it's off the wall. Run. David Peralta's on the run. Here comes the freight train. They're going to wave him home, and he is safe. An inside the park home run for David Peralta. Just missed a conventional home run. It caromed off the wall out there in deep left center and rolled away. And the freight train was coming down the track.
That was a thing of beauty. Once that ball hit the wall and got away from John Jay, rolling along the warning track out there in center, it was off to the races for David Peralta.
Daniel Descalso, 12th home run this year by David Peralta. And they're cooling him off in the dugout. The second inside the park home run this year for the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte had one here against the Braves, and just the 13th all-time in Diamondbacks history. That's a jumbo jack. It counts the same. Free jumbo jack tomorrow at Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. 1-1 on Descalso. He shoots that one the other way, fair down the left field line. It's a double for Descalso. Let's take a look at the freight train. This is why we call him the freight train. He's a big dude, David Peralta, and he can get up ahead of steam.
A slow steps out of the box, some indecision around first base, but then he sees it get away from John Jay in center field, and here we go. It was actually a pretty good relay by Ian Happ, but David able to get in on his belly at home plate with an inside the park homer.
Blow that train whistle. There's another run sitting out there now. 2 outs for AJ, who had an RBI single his last time up. D-backs with 4 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, and 1 more in here in the 8th.
Mentioned it earlier, the Diamondbacks scratched and scraped just to get 5 hits on the board last night. They've got 5 extra base hits tonight among their 12.
Zobrist in right. David Peralta, the inside the park homer, makes it 6-0 as we head to the 9th inning at Chase Field. Tonight, 42,219. They've just seen the freight train hit an inside the park home run to make it 6-0 Diamondbacks. And on to try and close it out is Fernando Rodney as the D-backs look to snap this 3-game losing streak. Not a save situation, but Rodney has 26 this year. He's riding an 8-game scoreless streak right now. Rodney has not allowed an earned run in 28 of his last 30 games. And he'll face the lower third of the Cub order here. Javier Baez, Alex Avila, and then the pitcher spot 7, 8, 9. Now that's a moment right there.
Yes, indeed.
That's why you come to the ballpark. And a whole bunch of Diamondbacks fans are here with us tonight. What an atmosphere in this place. This is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. You give the D-backs fans something to cheer about, and they show up in a big way. Didn't have a whole lot to hoop and holler about last night, but tonight's a whole different story.
Well, Rodney will try and shut the door here and get a much-needed win for Patrick Corbin, who was absolutely brilliant here tonight. Baez leads it off. He has singled in his last 2 at-bats. And as we've kept you updated throughout the ball game tonight, the Rockies have lost. The Marlins beat them in Miami 4-3. Cardinals have won. St. Louis beat the Braves 6-5. That's going to get out of play. Brewers and Reds in extra innings right now in Milwaukee 5-5 in the 10th. Baez going to need a new bat. And Milwaukee has just won that ball game, a walk-off wild pitch. And Milwaukee wins 6-5 in 10. Pirates lost to Toronto 7-2. Everybody's smiling, some deep breaths in that D-backs dugout. Right back to the mound. Rodney's got it. 1 out. Alex Avila, the catcher. He singled in the 5th. He's 1 for 3.
Catcher, Alex Avila.
Victor Caratini, who is the backup catcher right now, but Wilson Contreras is on the DL. Will be the hitter in the pitcher spot. He's on deck. Todd Walsh, Mark Gray standing by. D-backs Live, presented by CenturyLink. The post-game show is coming up. And don't forget, fans, we are told that someone online today from home won our D-backs 50-50 charity raffle. So we'll find out who won on the post-game show. A huge pot here tonight. Half goes to you, half goes to help kids in our community through the Diamondbacks charities. Series finale here tomorrow. 1:10 start. Zach Godley and Jake Arrieta. Into the shift. Drury from the outfield grass. 2 down. So here's a look at Victor Caratini, last man standing, rookie catcher out of Puerto Rico. He's only played 11 games, 192 with a home run. He's a switch hitter, batting from the left-hand side. $42,000 plus on hand tonight. Strike 1. Caratini has played most of this year with the Cubs AAA team in Iowa, where he's had a big year. 344 and 10 homers. Oh, and 2. Time to kiss that losing streak goodbye. Move back into a tie with the Rockies for that first wild card spot. Reaches out and dunks it to left. It drops in front of Peralta. Caratini has a 2-out single. And that'll bring up the center fielder, John Jay.
Center fielder, John Jay.
Diamondbacks trying to shut out an opponent for the 6th time this year. It would be the 2nd time that they blanked the Cubs. They did that August 2nd in Wrigley Field. Oh, and 2. Don't anticipate an arrow from Fernando Rodney. Usually saves those for save situations, which with a 6-0 lead would not apply here. So this will be as big a final 3 outs as he's had all year. They need this win. Still some tickets left tomorrow, fans. 1:10 first pitch. Zach Godley, Jake Arrieta. What will hopefully be the rubber game of this 3-game series. Up the middle and into right center. Jay has a base hit. Caratini headed for third. And the Cubs aren't done yet. A couple of 2-out singles. And the hitter is Chris Bryant.
Baseman Chris Bryant.
Bryant has singled, doubled, and walked tonight. He's got 5 hits in the series. Cubs now with 7 hits. 6 runs, 12 hits for the D-backs. There's the Rodney split changeup, and it's 1-0. Foul to third. Todd Walsh, Mark Gray standing by. D-backs Live post-game show. We'll have the winner of our 50-50 charity raffle. We had our first online winner tonight, we're told, so stay tuned for that after the ball game. Jay takes off for second uncontested. That's a strike to Bryant, and it's 1-2. Just got a piece of that fastball, fouled straight back. Caratini is at third, Jay at second, 2 outs, 1-2 on Bryant with Rizzo on deck. Changeup missed, 2-2. He's thrown 20 pitches, 15 for strikes. Rizzo would be next. Center field, that drops in. Caratini scores. Jay right behind, and the Cubs are on the board at 6-2. 3 consecutive 2-out hits against Fernando Rodney. Mike Fetters answers the phone in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Chris Bryant's 3rd hit tonight, a 2-run single. Mike Butcher makes a slow walk to the mound. David Hernandez starts to get loose.
Yeah, you start to get a little concerned with the pitch count for Fernando Rodney, just getting an inning of work here with a seemingly comfortable lead in the 9th inning. But he's already thrown 21 pitches to get 2 outs in the inning. The Cubs have put 2 on the board and have a runner on base for Anthony Rizzo.
Rizzo is 0 for 4 tonight. 0 for 8 in the series. Two outs. Chris Bryant at first. 2 runs are in. D-backs will put the shift on. Drury back on the outfield grass at second. Marte, the shortstop, on the first base side of the bag. Descalso midway between second and third. There goes Bryant standing up into second. Fastball's a strike, and it's 1-1. Rodney got the first 2 in the inning pretty easily. Baez and Avila. And Caratini had a single. Jay had a single. Bryant a 2-run single. Now it's 1-1 on Rizzo. Fastball in, but a strike. It's 1-2. And once again, he's a strike away. 25th pitch of the 9th inning. They're on their feet here, ready to wrap this up. Switch hitter Ben Zobrist is on deck. Zobrist 0 for 4 tonight. Hernandez still warming up at the Diamondback bullpen. 1-2 on Anthony Rizzo. He slaps it the other way into left. They'll stop Bryant at third. 4 consecutive 2-out hits for the Cubs. And here comes Torrey. David Hernandez on his way in. We'll take a break. close this thing out in what is now a save situation. Trade deadline acquisition from the Angels. David has been outstanding since rejoining the Diamondbacks. A weird inning there, Bob, for Fernando Rodney. He got the first 2 outs on 7 pitches. And then the Cubs answered with 4 consecutive singles over 19 pitches.
Yeah, just a couple of opposite field hits, a couple of 2-strike hits for the Cubs. As we said, Torey Lovullo concerned about the pitch count for Fernando Rodney. You'd like to believe there'll be a save opportunity in the game tomorrow. You want to make sure your closer's ready to go then.
So Zobrist will bat from the left side. That's his good side. 0 for 4 tonight. 1 for 8 in the series. Bryant is at third, Rizzo at first, and 2 outs. Andrew Chafin, who was warming up earlier in the ball game, starts to get cranked up again in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. We saw David Hernandez work a 1-2-3 ninth inning on Thursday against the Dodgers. He got 3 outs on 10 pitches. 1-1 on Zobrist. Zobrist is about 240 from the left side, 180 from the right. 7 of his 8 home runs have come as a left-hand batter. Yanks that one down the line, but foul. 2-2. And again, 2 strikes on the last Cub hitter. Ian Happ would be next. All 4 Cub singles with 2 outs came with 2 strikes. Here it is to Zobrist. Rizzo started going to second, and Hernandez stepped off. Rizzo was halfway to second base, but Goldie was back in the outfield grass at first. The 2-2 to Zobrist. Called strike 3, and that's the ball game. David Hernandez comes on to shut the door, and the Diamondbacks even the series with the Cubs at 1 game apiece. Joe Madden can't believe it. Confronting Mark Wegner about that strike 3 call.